November 22nd, 2022. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2002 chart using NinjaTrader 8. I'm going to go through this rather quickly. I didn't have that much time today, and there was a couple of times I had to step away from my desk, so there's some setups that I saw that I unfortunately was not able to take. This is what the chart looked like today. There's a sell-off in the pre-market, two legs up, and it looked like it just kind of consolidated in this large choppy range, which is very similar to what happened yesterday. Well, actually, yesterday was just really choppy, also in a really large range. The only economic data that came out today was the flash manufacturing PMI, which came out at around 645, which is about right here. As you can see, it really didn't move the market all that much. There's the flash manufacturing and the flash services PMI. I took a total of 3 trades. I won 2 and I lost 1. The second trade was kind of a quick, I guess it was an entry that I didn't really think through. I just anticipated something was going to happen without waiting for confirmation. So that ended up being a loss. So I'm going to go through the trades right now. I'm going to go through this really quick, as I said. In the pre-market, it was a second entry long here, but it's in the pre-market. But I saw it as, in the pre-market, I'm just looking at what was happening. And I thought if this was actually during regular trading hours, this is a possible trade. The only drawback is it's a rather large candle. As you can see, it's about 26 ticks, which is huge. But it is 2 legs down, bouncing off support, good signal bar, close. EMA doesn't really matter here. There's a big sell-off here, bounce, break of the orange down channel, and then another test of the low. And it starts moving up when I think is this green up channel, hits this consolidation area, and it comes out onto the open, which I think is kind of following this loosely red up channel. Didn't color it in because I didn't trust it all that much. So right here, prices aren't doing too much, not really setting up any high probability second entry longs. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. There is a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar because it's red. When you see this in real time, you're not really sure what's going to happen next, and it reverses up. And then you do get a higher low here. But the higher low is already too close to the pre-market highs. So it's a little iffy. So I just kind of sat and waited. You also get another second entry long here. I didn't like that this doji followed another doji. So it's a pretty good signal bar, but it was following a doji candle, and it's already near the highs. After a break of this green up channel and tested the highs. So no trade for me there, just a little too risky. Prices come down on this green down channel, break, test the low. Here's where it kind of bounces off this red up channel, but I wasn't too keen on the red up channel because there's a large dwell time out here. Prices move up on this kind of loose orange up channel. Looked like it was 2 legs up, no clean setup, and it kind of flushes down on this green down channel. This green down channel, when I actually established it, it was really wide, so I was playing with smaller short and trend channels inside, but I've since deleted those just to keep it clean. Nevertheless, prices come down. It has a break of this green down channel. It's the first entry short, pullback, second entry short. The second entry short I thought was an almost trade. The reason I didn't like it is it's a green bar. So it's an overshoot here. It could be making a corresponding overshoot and moving back down. It did make 2 measured legs up, slightly bigger though. I didn't like that it was above the EMA because EMA was holding prices down, but now it's above, and it's a green bar. So I wanted to wait for a lower high confirmation, which you don't really get. This is kind of the lower high, but by this candle, there's already a doji with 2 previous candles are being somewhat neutral, so I didn't really like that. And prices kind of got choppy. First entry long, this is technically a second entry long. You could make the argument that there's a triple test here, but I didn't like the looks of this triple test. If I can draw this. But yes, there's a triple test. Maybe you're in a range here. So it's a new high, well, new localized high, first entry long, second entry long, possible triple test. I wasn't really that, I guess, on top of things. So even though I'll just mark it as a triple test, but I ended up skipping that one. I take it back. It's a possible trade, but it's a little aggressive for sure. Then prices continue chopping, breaks down through here. There's no clean second entries. There's no second entry at all. It's only a first entry here, pushes up. Depending on how you do the count, there is technically a first entry short, a second entry short, and then a third entry short, or I just saw it as one big leg up. First entry long, technically have a second entry long here. I didn't like that there was an inside bar. EMA is really flat, so you can't really trust it reliably as a key entry point because it's just slicing through the center of all these candles. You do get a higher low here, so it's a first entry long, second entry long, higher low. this yellow up channel really isn't confirmed all that much. It's one touch. You could argue a second touch, a third touch, but I count it as just one localized touch because these candles are only separated by one other candle. So I saw it, I wasn't really sure. I saw it and I just wanted a higher low besides this one. Another one, which would have been like a second entry short failure, but you don't quite get that. So maybe if you decide to take this trade, that's kind of great on you. But for me, I just didn't quite like it. I'll mark it though, higher low. So then prices then continue moving up. I saw the second entry long here. I thought it was a possible trade. So it is moving up this confirmed yellow up channel now. So by this time, I'm thinking, okay, this yellow up channel is working. This is the first break, so I'm expecting prices to move back into this yellow up channel to test the highs. So it's the first break. You get this first entry long. Second entry long has yet to be confirmed, but it is holding. The EMA is starting to show a little bit of support. There was a small violation down here, and there's another one here, but it already reversed back in. So this candle is, let's see, 11 ticks, and I thought it was maybe potentially a trade here. And you do have a potential triple test. 1, 2, 3. So it looks like if you did enter, you would have gotten filled. Goes in, and then this is actually the better setup, in my opinion. I think this is probably the best setup of the day that I saw. Because it's a higher low confirmation of first entry long, second entry long, pullback, higher low. EMA is clearly being strong now. I like that this candle engulfed the previous by one, well, move one tick below, actually two ticks below, two ticks and one tick above. So I like that this engulfing action happened. So this was a good trade. Unfortunately, I didn't see this because I was away from my desk for a little while, so I wasn't able to see this. I came back after the fact and marked it. So it's hard to know for sure in real time if I would have seen this as a possible trade, but I think I would have liked to have taken this if I was sitting at my desk. Prices move up. It's a failed breakout of this trading range. Prices are moving back down. I'm expecting a touch here, so I'm seeing one leg pull back, potentially another leg down to here. And it makes it. So it's one leg, two legs, but it broke through. And now it looks like it's a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long is potentially about to fail. And I also saw a potential failed breakout pullback. Not a failed breakout pullback, but a breakout pullback of this trading range. So I thought this is also a possible trade. And after, so after this closed here, I was thinking, okay, yeah, there was definitely a trade here. And there was enough room to the low, but you had to have been more on top of things than I was to jump on that trade fast enough. Prices then continue moving down. It's moving nicely on this green down channel. There's a small break here, pushes up. It's a first entry short, and you get a second entry short. So it's green down channel, break, one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. Maybe it's going to continue a second big leg down. Overall bias right now is sideways. It's not really telling you it's going to go up or going to go down. So this big leg, maybe it's going to make another big leg. Who knows? I'm not sure because I'm thinking the trading range is a little bit tighter than the pre-market lows. Didn't mean to do that. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands, watching and waiting. I do see this higher low setup, and I actually thought this is a possible trade because you got to break, push up, first entry long pullback, second entry long. It creates a higher low. Again, I like that it engulfed this previous bar, moved down one tick, engulfed it completely, and closed near the high. So those kind of setups are a good indication from my experience that it's a clean setup. Also, it's a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short fails right here. And that second entry short has a higher low confirmation. So there's two key entry points. Second entry long confirming with a higher low, and failed second entry short confirming with a higher low. So I thought it was a decent trade, potential bottom of the range, potentially moving back up. Prices then move up, has a failed breakout here, comes back down, and it comes back first entry long, pull back, second entry long. It also created a triple test, but I didn't really like this as a potential trade because it's a little too bearish for me. But then when it came back down, I saw this and I really like the setup. I like the setup because it's multiple tests of this trading support region. And even though it's a triple test, it's what I consider a multiple test. I like that it moved one tick below this guy, then reversed strongly up. It didn't close at the high. If it closed at the high, that would have been an even more confident trade, but it closed near the high. So I really like what I saw there. I actually did take this trade, excuse me. I took the trade, moved one tick above, it opened, filled my order, went up and, excuse me, got the profit target. Prices move up. I dragged my runner all the way up and I just followed it one tick below. So I moved it from here to one tick above my entry. When this one closed, I dragged to one tick below this guy. This closed here, so I was wondering if it was going to break through. So my one tick below this guy may have gotten stopped out here if this had just ticked one more tick below, but it made a double bottom, so I was lucky. Then I dragged it up, and as soon as it broke up and it was deciding to whether to go higher or lower, I wasn't confident that I was going to go push through the highs of this, so I thought it might get pulled back into range. So I actually moved it one tick above these two guys, which is a little premature. If I kept it down here, I would have been able to drag it up to here and scalp a few more points, and then this candle probably would have stopped me out. Then this actually sets up the second trade, which is a foolish trade. So I saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I saw this as a potential second entry short, also a lower high and a failed breakout. So what I did was when this one closed, I entered early. I entered right here to reduce my risk. And as you can see, I got filled and moved one tick above and it reversed immediately and stopped me out. So my reasoning wasn't a good reason. It was in anticipation of what was going to happen. So I definitely I should have waited for the confirmation, but I didn't. I just jumped in expecting this to be a lower high and then prices to move back in. So as you can see, the failed breakout is potentially turning into a failed breakout pullback. And at this point, it looks like it could be a failed breakout pullback. That's how I even marked it here. It's like a breakout, breakout pullback, and it does continue upwards. So this is a bad setup. Not a bad setup. The setup's there. It was a bad decision on taking the setup because it really wasn't at a lower high, as you can see. Prices then continue moving up. It moves up on this yellow up channel. First break, attempt to test the high. It might have finished here. This is a lower high. And this is new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. When this second entry long looks like it's about to fail because it hasn't failed yet, it looks like it's on its way to failing. I wanted to take this trade. So I actually waited, and when this opened and it started moving down, I dropped my order at the low of this guy. But unfortunately, this opened and it just kept going. And when it went about 1.5 points or 6 ticks, I knew the scalp has already been made. So I deleted my order and I just had to exit the trade at that point because it was a missed trade, unfortunately. And I didn't want to tempt fate because you're asking it to do something that you originally was supposed to be on. In this case, I was supposed to already be on that trade, but I missed it. So I had to let it go. It was a missed trade. It didn't get filled, pushes down, and then it creates this lower high. So I saw this as the first entry long, second entry long. This is definitely more aggressive because I am taking a failed second entry long, lower high confirmation. It's a good signal bar. There is just barely just 1 point of room before you hit the lows, but I had, let me drag this out. Didn't mean to do that. I had my trend line drawn as this. And when this closed, I said, if it opens and breaks below this, I'm thinking it's going to push down for an overshoot and maybe a move back up, which it did. So it definitely was aggressive. Okay, so then later, I dragged it to look closer to something like this. It's an overshoot here, and it's already pushed it a low. So this lower high definitely was an aggressive trade, but I liked it because it's only 7 ticks. The signal bar is only 7 ticks. And the also risk was whether I had it drawn this way or previously, it could bounce off this support and move back up. But as I said, I had it kind of like this earlier. So it was definitely a risk, but once it hit here and broke through, then I thought, okay, there's enough for a scalp. And I was lucky for that scalp. Now in this case, I had the at least awareness to know this is a risky trade. So I didn't go for a runner, but as you can see, it would have worked. I just took off the entire position. Prices move down and reverses up on this green up channel. Excuse me, this orange up channel. Hits this consolidation area. There are second entries, but they're not very clean. It's just kind of consolidating. You do have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Second entry long is okay, but so this is second entry long here. I didn't like that there's so many candles just side by side with no clear trend. So if you treated this as a really tight trading range, it's hard to trade something like this because it's only about 3 points of movement, and scalping even 1 point out of 3 points is expecting, it's just very risky because something could reverse and hit your stop. So I tend to stay away from something like that. Prices then continue moving, breaks out below this trading range, and it kind of looks like it's consolidating in a second trading range, then it breaks out and goes below. As an overshoot down here, first entry short, pull back. You technically have a second entry short failure. I just didn't like that this was a doji. Moves up, you technically have a higher low here. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, higher low confirmation, potentially bounce off of this. So I will, actually, this is something, I'm not sure if I would have taken this trade, but I will mark it as a higher low here because there is enough room to the high. So this is a possible trade. Prices then continue moving up, hits a consolidation area. There's a new high, first entry long, and that's all you get. And it starts moving down on this orange down channel, first break. I'm expecting another test of this low. And it does. It hits, well, the low is actually down here. And now it does confirm and test the low. Now it's reversing back up. First entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. Here it's not really telling me to go short. I mean, you do have a break above and a reversal. I wanted a body on this candle, though. It's doji, so it shows me indecision. So I'm a little more cautious when I see this. But it had a really strong push down, so this potentially could have been a trade. The second entry short. Then prices bounce, moves back up, break of the green up channel, test the high. They first entry short, second entry short, potential second entry short failure, but it's already too late in the day. You don't get a failure, so there would have been no setup here. This is pretty much where the failure occurs. So it's testing a new high, but you only really get a first entry long. First entry short, second entry short, maybe a second entry short failure, but you don't know that this is going to happen. So this is definitely a hindsight decision that's hard to say if I would have taken it in real time, but I very likely would have left it alone. Prices then continue moving up, and it's kind of going to the last 10 minutes of the day. So that's kind of how I saw the charts today. I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'm just going to cut it off there. Took a total of 3 trades, and 2 were winners, and 1 was loser. Granted, the last 2 trades were a little iffy, and unfortunately, I missed this. I think the best trade of the day might have been this higher low here, or this the best clean setup. So hopefully that was helpful.